Grand rising. Prophecy is being fulfilled every day. Now you're seeing the times of the Gentiles being fulfilled. Now, you know, the churches don't always talk about that because they seem to think that the times of the Gentiles are just going to keep on going. You know, the Most High is going to let the party keep going. He's just going to rapture them up out of here and let them just, do all this havoc, rape, rob, murder, and destroy, and then get rewarded by being taken away. But when you start putting Bible verses together, it all starts to make sense. So let's take a look at this verse right here. When you understand Romans 6 and 8 talking about the Gentiles coming over to the fourth part, which is again is referring to them coming over here to the Americas, 1492. See, the Bible is puzzle pieces, and you got to put the puzzle pieces together. And I'm not expecting the Gentiles to be able to do that because the Gentiles have always been working to hide when the times of the Gentiles is going to be completed. But a big, huge part of all prophecy, being fulfilled was Columbus coming over here and taking down the fourth part. So when you read Revelation 6 and 8, and I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth, the horses and the dogs, right? So when you look at Luke 21 and 24, it talks about, it says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword. That's when you guys came over here, we fell by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. You took us from the Americas as well, and you moved us all over the parts of the earth. You moved us to, different parts of the Americas, different parts of Asia, different parts of of Europe, right? Of Africa. We were moved all over the place. So when you look at Revelation 6 and 8, that's showing the perspective of you coming over here. But you look at Luke 21, 24, it's like what happened to us, like what we saw. Like they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down to the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Now, you guys took us down, but then also we're fighting for our civil rights, and you opened up, the whole world to be able to come over here to our lands and to be able to trodden down our lands in order to get, the dainties of these lands. This was all prophecy. Maybe you guys didn't realize it when you were coming over here. You look at it from your perspective. You looked at it as, we're going to be coming over here to try to get a new life, a better life. We're going to try to get our American dream. That was part of fulfilling our lands being trodden down of the Gentiles. Okay? This is why it's very important to know who is who. Who is part of Psalms 83. Who made a covenant together with Esau and the colonizers to come down and take all of our land, take all of our, our money, take our resources, take our labor, right? That's all part of, again, when you look at Luke 21, 24, then you start to understand. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, that's happened to us, and then all these lands were all opened up. Once we fell by the edge of the sword, then now you guys have the opportunity to come in and take over the lands because there's nobody here. The people who owned the land were taken into slavery. So now there's all this land. So that's why they allowed all the Gentiles, all of these different immigrants to come in and get a piece of the pie as well. So long as you was worshiping the colonizers, you were worshiping white Jesus, you were worshiping their God, you were good. That was all part of vomiting up your wisdom. You don't think for yourself. You are here, because the white man allowed you to be here. You're here because the colonizers gave you the opportunity to be here and to enjoy the fruits of the lands, right? Never to the extent that they were able to. I said, but you still got your opportunities, right? So when you understand that, and you go, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Now Jerusalem is our homeland, not just one city, okay? We have, it's referring to our lands in general, okay? And so again, now you understand why when they made that 14th Amendment, but then they quickly applied it to everybody, so that we weren't getting anything, but everyone was getting it. Just now you understand when Kamala Harris was saying, I'm not going to do anything just for black people. I'm going to do it so that everyone, has an opportunity to, enjoy these lands and to chase after their dreams. You see, this is all Bible prophecy, but you're not getting that from your pastors or your priests. I said, because they're not about that. They're about hiding. They're about hiding whose lands they stole, whose resources they've inherited, and whose resources really these things belong to. Who are the original inhabitants? Who are the original people who these lands were given to? What man says doesn't matter. It matters what the Most High says. And the Most High is the one that dictates who has which lands. And that's why he's coming back to restore things. So the Holy Spirit is coming back to bring all things back into remembrance. Whose lands these are. Who has dominion over these lands. And if you are thinking about trying to stay here, it has nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with the colonizers. As you can see, the Gentiles have lost their power. They've lost their power over the lands. They've lost their power over the whole narrative at this point. All right? Because, hey, I thought everybody was protesting a couple weeks ago. They were in LA protesting every single day. And those fizzled out real quick because they don't have they don't have a leg to stand on. Because these lands are not theirs in the first place. And the white man can't say who can stay, who can go. Now they're exposing the fact that, okay, the 14th Amendment was intended for the so-called black people. They've known that the whole time, but because they were in their blessing, and at the time of the Gentiles still, they could go ahead and say, they can dictate the laws or interpret the laws however they wanted to. And that's why they let everybody come in. But people are starting to get, now coming to the conclusion, they're grappling with the fact that we've been lied to. We've known we've been living a lie. The truth is coming out, and they're still trying to twist it. No one is really going after the fact that Trump just said that the 14th Amendment was for so-called black people only. No one's attacking that at all. Because you guys were able to just keep on going with that lie, because again, it was a time of your blessing. It was still a time of the Gentiles. But let's take a look at what happens when the time of the Gentiles is complete. You all love Paul so much, but take a look at Romans 11 and 25. For I would not, okay, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part happened to Israel, until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. Blindness happened to the Israelites. Blindness happened to our people. So there's going to be a people that's going to be blind while the Gentiles were taking advantage of our lands. While the Gentiles had trodden down Jerusalem, trodden down our homeland, we were going to be, asleep, blind. Now that didn't happen to Ish. That only happened to our people. And see, all of a sudden, when you look at the whole thing going on with the migrants, it says they were able to use the 14th Amendment to give everyone an opportunity to come over here. And that only happened because we were blind. The other nations weren't blind. They knew exactly what they were doing, because Trump just told you that the 14th Amendment was for the so-called black people. But because we were blind, they were able to interpret that however they wanted to and allow everyone the chance to come over here and trodden down our lands. But after they trodden down our lands and we serve our punishment, we were going to be what? Awakened. Holy Spirit's going to be sent to do what? Bring all things back into remembrance. Okay, so she's sent only to Israel, because Israel was the only ones that had lost their knowledge of who they were. So then when you go to Romans 11 and 26, and so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion a deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. So this is the saving of Israel, the awakening of Israel, them knowing who they are. Now, we've been saying that we're the original people, and the people can't come against it. We're saying that these are our lands, and they can't come against it. We are saying that you other nations were allowed to come over here, and you stole our resources. But the Most High said in Genesis 15:13 that after we serve our 400 years, that we're going to be restored, and the people who enslaved us were going to have to pay. So it says, Genesis 15:13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. Where is our lands? Yes, but for a time it wasn't ours, because you guys had control of it, because the Most High gave you that opportunity. Okay? Be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. We're not people. No one looks at us. We're not, we don't have a country. We're nobody. That's what you guys have been telling us this whole time. Right? And shall serve them. And they shall afflict them 400 years. 1619, 2019, 2020, everything got shut down. And it's been going down ever since. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. You don't think this nation here is under judgment? This is where it begins. But this is a worldwide judgment. This is just where the judgment is beginning. And the Most High is this knowledge is killing you, because now you're seeing that, you can't hide behind the lies anymore. And now judgment is here. Shalom.